So just like you should. What's up, fellas? What's up, guys? What's going on? What's shaking? What's doing out there? Guess who it is? Guess who it is? It's your friend. it's Brian Dales with Craft Conversations. My eyes are a little blurry right now. I can't even hardly see, but it's a little weird. It's not weird. We'll get into it. I know it's been a little while. Jeez, man, it's been so long, actually. But what can you do about it? You know, sometimes you just feel like taking a break. Yeah. Welcome to the show, guys. Up front there, that was Ellie King singing "My Neck and My Back," and it's I just think it's a apropos type song because we're still talking about neck stuff going on. As you can see, I was dancing and grooving, neck is moving, and having a good time. Getting back to it, trying to get back in a little bit of a groove, a little bit of shape. So yeah, to go back to, haven't done this video since the neck breakage, I think. I mean, when did I do this damn video? The last video, I can't even remember. I guess I could look it up. But, that always kind of puts a downer into the video a little bit, but we could look it up. Let's see if this other camera's working. I actually broke out. I had to throw away. Dang, we're all over the place, just as always. I actually had to throw away my other phone. I had I think it was the 12 Pro that I threw away, 12 Pro Max. Got 3 other phones besides the one that I'm going to look up some info on here. Oh, and I just saw a little bit of freezing right there, so we might have some issues again, but I've got the backup plan of the iPad camera here that, we'll make work if we need to, but so you had to toss that one in the trash. It wouldn't charge anymore. It would get zero charge. I couldn't get it to come back on, so ended up tossing it in the trash. I still have a 10. And what is the one I'm using right now? I think the one I'm using right now is a 10. I think I still have a 6S or something, but I don't know. I got all these phones. Whatever still works with the Switcher Studio here that I'm going to continue to use. We'll put this up here on the screen. Maybe we'll put this one up here. No, that's not the right thing. Let's see if I got anything else on here I could throw up there. No, well, I could throw this up here, I guess. But so yeah, I had to throw that other phone away because it just wasn't working anymore. So got this phone going on. Oh, what was I going to do? I was going to look up the last show that we did, right? So let's go to Craft Conversations. That's on the YouTubes, by the way. Oh, this camera here. That's on the YouTubes if you want to check it out. So we're going to go to Craft Conversations. We'll look at the videos. And yeah, I did the Brace Yourself episode. And that was, that was 2 months ago. Episode 226, by the way. We're going to do episode 227 today, I guess. So yeah, I just been kind of in a funk, man. I had that brace on and yeah, it sucked. I was in that brace for almost 4 months. It was a little over 14 weeks. And if you listened to the last show, if you didn't, go back and listen to it, and you kind of listen to the whole process of how I broke my neck in 3 different places. Got a brain bleed and was in the emergency room in the ICU and walked around with it for 2.5 days before I even went and got any care and all the great stuff that went with that story. You can go back and listen to that in the last episode, but so I was just kind of in a funk, man. I've been eating myself to death and drinking myself to death and just been depressed. And I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't drive. I couldn't do any exercises. I could barely sleep, much less do anything physical. I wasn't allowed to do anything physical, especially anything, above the head type stuff. Wasn't able to lift anything more than 10 pounds. Even walking was a struggle, especially trying to walk the dog or the dogs, plural, if I did that. It was just pain in the neck, quite honestly. Go out for a walk. I had to do this to look for traffic at a 4-way stop or at an intersection. Couldn't really see if there was any other animals around, whether it be ducks in the neighborhood, geese, there's all kind of stuff over here, other dogs, kitty cats, whatever that might cause issues, even other pedestrians, and cars out and about. So it was kind of a struggle to just even get out and about and do anything. Was pretty much Ubering most places, most days. Was the easiest way to get around to the places that I would like to go hang out. I just wanted to still have a social life and still kind of do things. And At first, I really didn't want to get out. I was kind of embarrassed about the neck brace and the situation that I was in. But then I decided, you know what? Embrace it. No pun intended. But there's really nothing that you can do about it. It wasn't necessarily your fault. There probably some fault lies in my driving pattern and, going too fast for conditions and those type things. So, yeah, I came to embrace it, and I just started getting out and about and realized nobody gave a shit, and it was a good conversational piece. And then after a while, it became a horrible conversational piece. I didn't like to go new places after a while because I was tired of, if I went to new places, people hadn't seen me in a while, or new people hadn't seen me, then here comes all the questions again. What happened to your neck, and why are you wearing a neck brace, and blah, blah, blah. And I've got one, I used to wear one just like it, and, oh, tell me the story, and, oh, how are you feeling? I don't know. I just got tired of answering questions, so I started just hanging out at most of the places that where people knew me, and I'd already told the story before. That way I didn't have to retell things. The only questions I would get is, how you feeling? You getting any better? When do you get the brace off? And that was a whole other story with the medical pieces talking to each other as far as the HCA Healthcare system and TRICARE, not TRICARE. Well, TRICARE was a piece of it as well, but as far as HCA Healthcare system through Trident and the VA system, they just didn't work very nicely together. So we were having some problems and some issues, and I think I finally got all that stuff worked out. I did write a couple notes down here. Let's see if we can stay on track. So yeah, so I got no neck brace. I got the brace taken off. When the hell was the brace taken off? Jesus Christ, I should have looked up all this stuff before I started the show, but you know how I am. I'm just kind of impromptu. Sometimes I just say, you know what, let's do a show. But I had my neuro appointment. Let's see when I can find it here. Had my neuro appointment on the 22nd of January. So I've been out of the brace since the 22nd of January. I went to that appointment after finally, I don't want to go through the whole thing again. But I eventually did get in. If you go back and listen to the last episode, or if you already have, you'll get caught up onto where I am on this story. Finally got an appointment with neurology and figured out that neurology was not the appointment that I needed. I needed a neurosurgeon. Apparently, a neurologist could not release me from neck fractures. Specifically a C1, which is a very serious fracture. So I had to have a neurosurgeon appointment, so I had to wait a little bit longer to get that neurosurgeon appointment. At the neurologist appointment, the guy said, oh, I see they still haven't done an MRI. You've been waiting on an MRI for double vision. And I said, yeah. I said, I've been waiting on that since December, by the way. Luckily, I didn't have a brain bleed and die in the time that I've been waiting on that MRI. So he said, okay, well, I'll put you in for... The guy didn't even know I was there to begin with, as a matter of fact. He thought I was there for double vision. Which obviously it was written in the referral and everything else that I was there. Well, maybe it wasn't written in referral. I was there for three fractures in my neck and a brain bleed and double vision and headaches. The only thing he saw on his end was double vision. So he said, okay, well, now that I got the scoop on the rest of it, I'll go ahead and schedule an appointment with a neurosurgeon, and I'll also go ahead and put in the MRI for you. So both those consoles got put in. Those people called me and we scheduled the appointments. I got my neurosurgeon appointment scheduled for the 22nd. I went to that appointment, and she had already pulled up the CT scan that I had received at the North Charleston Clinic that I don't think this was in the last video, but they did the CT scan. CT scan didn't even reference why the reason I went in, the reason that the CT scan was requested in the first place was, check out the C1, the C5, the occipital condyle. They didn't mention any of those in the interpretation of the film. They mentioned old injuries from 10 years ago, an old surgery that I had. They said, oh yeah, that all still looks great. Didn't mention one thing about the three things that I was having the scan for. So luckily, the neurosurgeon was able to pull up the film, the picture, and tell me exactly what was going on, and said, yeah, looks like everything is going pretty well. Things are healed up fairly nicely. I'm going to go in and see if I can find this one photo. As a matter of fact, we'll add that to the photo. Again, I'm not prepared here, guys. So I said, yeah, it looks like, when I spoke with my colleagues on your films and what you're describing to me today, your symptoms, and she had me take the neck brace off and had me do some range of motion and stuff, and asked what my pain was, and discussed with her colleagues and said, yeah, I think even though you still got a little bit of a break in your C1 vertebrae, I think, which is the one that they're most concerned about, they could care less about the C5 transverse process, or the occipital condyle kind of plays a little bit into it. They articulate together, the condyle and the C1 vertebrae. But she said, doesn't look like there was any displacement on the the dynamic flexion extension x-rays that we did, and the CT scan said it looks like everything was staying in alignment during movement, and that there was not going to be any reason why I couldn't come out the brace, and there shouldn't be any displacement or any impingement on the spinal cord or any of that kind of bullshit. So she said, yeah, let's take it off and, put it back on as needed. If you think you need it, throw it on. If you want to sleep with it for a little while longer, feel free to do that if that makes you comfortable. But you should be stable and ready to go, and the vertebrae should continue to heal. Vertebrae should continue to heal as things get better here as we go along and time goes by. So I said I didn't need another follow-up, so I don't even have another follow-up, but I probably will schedule just to get back with them and do at least one more CT scan. I mean, we're 2 months. Let's see, January 22nd, February 22nd, March 22nd. Yeah, we're pretty much 2 months past my last CT scan, so I'll probably see if they'll do one more just to see how things are healing. But where the hell is this damn CT image that I had? It's on here somewhere, I know. Maybe this is it, right here. Nope, that's not it. Let's go back to the photos. I take so many pictures, guys. If you guys follow me on the Facebooks and the Instagrams and all that kind of stuff, you notice that I do quite a bit of posting. Where the hell is this image? Jiminy Cricket. No. Oh, here we go. I found it. All right, we're going to get that in there. We're going to save it, see if it goes down here. Yeah, here we go. So this is the actual image, and it's kind of hard to see, but if you look on the right side image over there with the actual single vertebrae, and if you have any way of expanding it, which I don't, damn it, let's see if, well, forget it. So there's still, what I'm getting to, guys, is there's still a little bit, if you see right at the top of that image, there's a space in between, the solid white bones that you see there. There's a little space, and it looks big on the image on that CT scan, but it's really just millimeters in length, or in width, I guess it would be width, that are still not connected together. So things are still kind of growing. It's stable, but it's still kind of growing together, and it's not quite healed all the way, is what I'm getting at. So had that on the 22nd. They took the brace off. I ended up finally getting an MRI. I can't remember what date that was. When I go to the MRI appointment, the technician comes out to pick me up and says, okay, hey, you're here for an MRI of your neck, correct? And I said, well, I guess my neck as well, but really I'm here, it's supposed to be of my brain, because back in December with the civilian neurosurgeon at TRICARE, I had mentioned to him during my follow-up, that during my 6-week follow-up, that I had some increased headaches and I had some double vision. And he said, oh, well, that's reminiscent of a possible brain bleed. It could just be muscle tension and just the neck injury itself, and you can just have some headaches and stuff like that. But the double vision is concerning, so let's go ahead and get you an MRI scheduled for that of your brain. Well, they fucked around and farted around, and they tried to get me scheduled at the Tri-County Radiology, and the Tri-County, the VA was saying, well, sorry, we don't, we're not in the net, Trident's not in the network, we can't schedule that for you. So I got with my doctor and said, hey, can you schedule the MRI? And he scheduled me for a CT instead, never scheduled the MRI. kept fucking around, and eventually I ended up getting this neurologist to schedule the MRI. And then once it gets scheduled, the guy put it in wrong. He put it in for my neck and not for my brain, even though he knew that the original, we even discussed it during the appointment, that the original, he thought I was there for double vision. He even had on the paperwork that I was supposed to get an MRI for double vision. I guess during the conversation, since we started talking about my neck, and hey, no, I'm here for my neck. I broke my neck in 3 places. I guess he figured it was supposed to be an MRI for my neck. I don't know what the fuck the guy was thinking, but so he puts it in wrong. I even told the girl it's supposed to be in my brain. She still did the MRI of my neck. I mean, that's what the order said. So she can't, as a technician, she can't make that change right on the fly. She could have called somebody maybe and got that approved over the phone, but so I waited a day and a half to look at the results on the VA, app or the website or whatever. Yeah, not one thing about my brain. They took an MRI of my neck, and guess what? They didn't mention anything about the C1, the C5, or the occipital condyle on my neck. They still referenced the goddamn fusion that I had over 10 years ago, and you can see that on the left-hand side there, the fusion of the C6-7 area down there. So they still reference that in the report. Not one mention about the 3 goddamn things that I've injured back in November. So, with all that said, I sent another strongly worded letter to the neurosurgeon. Although I told the neurosurgeon, I said, "Look, I'm just letting you know the process here and what's been going on. I by no means fault you because you didn't put in the order for the MRI. I just want to keep you in the loop." And then I sent that exact same message over to the patient advocate. Second, third time I've messaged and gotten the patient advocate involved there at the VA, and told them, look, once again, the third different scan, from an X-ray to a CT to an MRI, that nobody looked at the fucking injury that I got. They looked at something from 10, 12, 13 years ago. So there's a lot of incompetence going on. And you know what? I blame that. I kind of blame that on, we had Doge come through and Trump come in and Elon Musk, and they just took away a bunch of jobs there at the VA and started cutting people. And even when I talked to the patient advocate on the phone, she said, yeah, we're having these problems all the time because these people, and I didn't expect her to get political on the phone, but she said, yeah, this new administration is really fucking things up because they've laid off a bunch of people, a lot of good nurses, a lot of good doctors, a lot of good admin staff, and a lot of things like this, like your same story that you're telling me right now, are falling through the cracks, and veterans are not getting taken care of the way that they were getting taken care of during the last administration. So just food for thought. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there that that's affecting a lot of your veterans. So if you're a veteran yourself, or some veterans, or you care about veterans or military, this administration has really fucked a lot of shit up for them right now. And they say they care about the troops, and they care about the military, and they care about the veterans, and even care about this country. And that is quite obviously not the case. And we won't even go into this Iran war at the moment, or Venezuela, or any of that kind of bullshit. But if you're watching the news at all, and if you're not, you need to, because it's a pretty scary time. Don't sit in your little bubble and think that you're not going to be affected. But anyway, I'm not going to get all into that. But so that's what happened. So with all that said, the MRI didn't get done. Now I've got another MRI done. They got in touch with me and said, "Oh, I'm sorry how that happened. Let's get you scheduled for the proper MRI." And it'll only be 4 months late, but I've got an appointment actually on a Sunday, the 29th of March. So it's still not immediate. They still put it in as routine. They still didn't put it in as emergency or ASAP or urgent. So luckily I still haven't died of a brain bleed or any other problems, aneurysms, whatever. So that is scheduled, and we're going to get that done here post-haste, I guess. Would that be the word, post-haste? In the interim, between all of that, my kids came to visit, which was extremely nice. I had Brian Jr. and Alec come and visit back in February, the middle of February, around the 14th, I think they came in, or the 13th, something like that. They only stayed for a few days, but it was a well-needed visit, well worth it. Alec actually brought his girlfriend that he's been with for over a year now, I guess, Leah, both up there in Boston. She's from Maine originally. So they all flew in together, and we had not together, separate flights, but they came in the same days. It ended up being the same time with some flight delays and things like that. But so grabbed them, and we had a fantastic time. We met with my parents, their grandparents, and they got to hang out with the dogs, and they got to reminisce about growing up in this house. All their younger lives, and then I got to be tour guide and kind of show them. Alec hadn't been here in a little while. Brian was here last year, but Leah's never been here, so I got to give them the tour of downtown Somerville, and we went down and hit Wine and Tapas. We had Frothy Beard, which is now closed. It closed on February 28th there in Somerville. The original location is still open in West Ashley, but they had their 5-year lease come to an end, so they decided they weren't going to renew. They're going to go a different direction and try and get a different location where they can make some of their other dreams come true. By the way, a little side note, talked to Mr. Caleb Taylor of Homegrown Brewhouse fame, and talked to Paul Stone of the Paul Stone Project and a few other people, my brothers, about possibly acquiring that space and maybe doing something with it as far as another beer bar or listening room, beer/music type thing again. And it seems like nobody's really interested at this point. It's just too expensive with the insurance here in the state and just the rent down there in that area, in Hutchison Square area. But so anyway, that's kind of on a side burner. I don't think that's going to happen, but there's been some talks about it. Frothy Beard, we went across the street to Accent on Wine. Then we went over to Montreux, had some dinner, and then we finished up over at the Azalea Bar and had some cocktails over there. So a really fun time in Somerville. The weather was perfect, and then the next day we ventured downtown, Charleston proper, and man, what a great time. We got down there about 10 a.m. in the morning. We didn't leave there until about 8 p.m. that evening, so we were down there almost 12 hours. It was a fun-filled day. The weather was fantastic. We started off the day down at, and this is just for you guys, if they're looking for stuff to do. We went down and started at Kudu Coffee on Lower King Street. Had some beverages there, coffee. We walked King Street and got to Upper King and ducked into a few shops here and there on the side of the road. Looked at some housing stuff, furniture, tables, lamps, all that kind of bullshit. We looked at a bunch of clothing stores, some leather stores. Then we ducked into one of my favorite spots that Brian Jr. and I go to all the time, is Savannah Bee Company. I went in there and had a couple flights of mead, which was fantastic. The guy working there, I can't remember his name. I wish I did. I'd give him a shout out, but fantastic. I don't know what you call them, meadista. That was pouring all the meads, and he was giving us, a description of all the meads, where they're from, notes that you're going to taste, what you're going to smell, how they make it, what kind of honey they use, all this kind of stuff. And really gave us some good background on all the meads that we tasted and just the mead scene in general, as far as North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. Left there, went up to continue walking King, got up to Market, went through the old Omni there, I don't even remember what they call it now, but went through all the fancy Louis Vuitton and Gucci and Calvin Klein, and walked through that whole store area and through the hotel there. What's it called? Charleston Place, maybe? I can't remember. It used to be called the Omni, I believe. Walked through there, ended up on Meeting, and then crossed over to Market Street. Walked through the indoor market and decided we were ready for lunch. So we ducked out of the indoor market, kind of went down some side streets, and we ended up going to Magnolia's. Had a fantastic lunch over there at Magnolia's. Where are we at here on the time? 25 minutes in. Had a fantastic lunch there at Magnolia's. Left there, went directly across East Bay Street and went back over to the park area and checked out the Pineapple Fountain and looked at the Cooper River there. Saw a bunch of dolphins. It was low tide, and a bunch of dolphins were up there close to the shore on the low tide. I mean, really shallow water, just a ton of them. We probably saw about 10 different dolphins over there, just kind of frolicking and having a good time and doing whatever dolphins do. Hung out at the pineapple fountain. All three of them took their socks and shoes off and actually got into the fountain. I did not. Walked out of the park from there and decided to go to the East Bay Street Exchange and Provost Dungeon. Brian and I had done it before with his wife Megan when she was in town, but we decided, let's do it again. It's a good history lesson of what happened during the Revolutionary War and the part that, Charleston played into that. So went to that as, a little bit of a fee to get in. We got military discount, went in, did a tour. They took us down into the dungeon and gave us a tour and gave us the whole history lesson there. Came back out of there, went over, took a look at Rainbow Row. They wanted to see that. And then continued on down East Bay Street, went to the Battery, walked the Battery, came back through the Battery Park, walked down some side streets, looked at some old buildings, and kind of gave Alec and Leah some history of the buildings and the way they're built and why they're built that way and how they rebuilt some of the things after the earthquake back in the 1800s and the Great Earthquake of 1869 or something, I think. I can't remember the date of it specifically. That might have been it. And after all the fires, I mean, there's a bunch of disasters that have happened in Charleston. Charleston's had to be rebuilt multiple times, or else it probably would have been New York. That's what a lot of people say. If we wouldn't have had all the tragedies that tore down everything and we had to rebuild multiple times, we probably would have been the New York of the East Coast. But so after the side streets came back out, we went to one of our favorite spots, the Gin Joint, which is again off of East Bay Street. Had a cocktail there, and then Alec was having a hankering for oysters, and Brian's never had an oyster before, so we decided, let's check out and see where we can go have some oysters, and we ended up at Fleet Landing. First time I've ever been to Fleet Landing, so we did something new to me, being a native here of Charleston. Went to Fleet Landing, and oh my God, you talk about a fantastic place. The only thing that wasn't fantastic about it is they're doing a lot of construction over there, so they had the outside area kind of walled in with tarps and stuff, so we weren't sitting actual outside proper. We actually were inside, still enclosed, even though we were outside on the porch, which was fine. Very crowded, a lot of people there. We got right in, maybe a 10-minute wait, I guess. Went in, got a dozen and a half oysters, tried a couple of the local South Carolina varieties, and I think we had one from, I want to say it was from Maine, was the other variety that we had. We did an oyster shooter because nobody had ever done one except me. So we did oyster shooter. We got some scallops to share. We had some collard greens. We were trying to give Leah a little bit of a southern feel. She'd never had southern cuisine, so we had some red rice. We did some collards. We did the scallops, of course, the oysters. And had some local craft beer. We had another cocktail. Just a full day, man. We had a fantastic time, and then we Ubered back. Nobody was driving. We Ubered down there. We Ubered back. We just shared actually a Lyft. And the whole time I had this neck injury, I'm sitting here, November, December, January. I'm Ubering everywhere, right? Or either I get somebody to give me a ride, my parents or whatever. The whole time I'm using Uber. Never even thought about using Lyft at all. I figured out they're the same thing, right? Uber, Lyft, it's just your preference type thing. Well, Allie gets here and he starts, looking up a ride to go downtown, and he's looking up Uber and Lyft, and come to find out Lyft was cheaper to go downtown that day. So I said, fuck. I said, this whole time I've been using nothing but Uber, and you're telling me I could have been price checking here and doing something different with a different ride? And he's like, yeah. Absolutely. He said a lot of times one is significantly less than the other, just depending on the time of day and what's going on and whatever. So what I have found so far since I've now been using both options is more times than not, probably 80% of the time, Lyft has been cheaper going back and forth. And I'm still using Uber and Lyft right now. My truck is in the shop. It's been in the shop for a couple months, actually, since the 26th of January. Having an issue with my charging system. I've killed 3 batteries in the last year. It's got a parasitic drain of some sort. Excuse me. While researching it, found out that the Nissan Titan first generations, I think it's 05 to 2016, I think, 2015, 04 to 2015 is the first gen. I can't remember, it doesn't matter. Mine is a 2012, but it seems to be a particular problem with those particular vehicles. They end up having a parasitic drain, and there's a few different reasons it could be, and I tried to figure it out. I was going to start with the starter. I was going to go with the alternator, possibly, maybe do both of them. Both of them look like a pain in the ass to change, and I'm very mechanically inclined, do a lot of my own truck work, vehicle work, but those two I just said, nah, I'm not fucking with it, specifically because I had a neck injury going on. And they seem like a pain in the ass plus a pain in the neck for me. So I sent it over to a buddy of mine that does some work for me, and he's had it ever since, and they're still trying to figure things out. So it could be the starter, it could be, they checked my aftermarket stereo system, so everything looked good there. They checked some fuses. I think they've looked at the starter and the alternator. The solenoid on the alternator can go bad. There's also a couple other things right on the firewall on the inside driver's side of the cabin that controls like the key fob system and the locking system mechanism, that the circuits can stay open on that. I don't know. There's all kind of things. So they're checking all the things, and they still haven't figured out exactly what's going on. So I wasn't driving anyways because I had a neck injury. So I just said, take your time, man. Don't worry about it. And I think they're really taking their time because I told them I wasn't in any hurry. But now I'm starting to get back into a hurry. So yeah, I've still been Ubering. I've been lifting. Now that I got my neck brace off, I waited a few days until I started, working on some of my own physical therapy and getting my neck range of motion back before I jumped back onto the e-bike. And now I'm also riding the e-bike. First day I went on the e-bike, I tell you what, man, that was a scary situation because, you get a little bit of PTSD no matter what the situation. You don't have to be a soldier or an airman or in the military to have PTSD. You can have it from any type of traumatic incident. And I got back on that bike and just started going really slow. I was skittish around turns. I was, a little shaky and gripping the handlebars a little harder than I normally would, and really looking both ways and really looking at the road for potholes and trying not to go over cracks. I mean, curbs I was cautious of. Man, that first ride I took was pretty nail-biting, nerve-wracking. And got through it, and now I'm back to being an old pro on it, but I'm still keeping the speeds down, and I wear a helmet every single time I go out, because luckily I was wearing a helmet the day that I crashed, but matter of fact, this is the helmet that I was wearing. And, yeah. So, got me a new helmet, and wearing that every single time I go out. Sometimes I feel like I want to wear it just even if I go on a walk. I just want to make sure I don't fall and hit my head again. I knocked my head one day on the garage door going out the garage. I closed it before I went out, and usually, it'll get almost halfway and you have to duck under it. I didn't duck down far enough and boom, hit my head, and I'm like, fuck, you're going to break your neck again. Speaking of the e-bike, I went on the e-bike today. I think that's on my list here, right? Yeah, MRI. We talked about the VA still fucking around. I think I've got the VA all cleared up. Truck's still in the shop. Yeah, that was my next topic. So my e-bike battery, I went out today. I plugged in. It's been cold the past couple of days, so it's been like 2 days since I've ridden the bike. And last time I'd ridden it, had like 2 bars left on my battery, so I plugged it in to get it recharged all the way back up to full. I don't know, full is like 10 bars or something on the monitor. And went out today. It's been 2 days. It's been sitting on the charger for 2 days. So I went out today to take it up to the coffee shop, up to Bigby Coffee, and sit there for a little bit, chill out. It's a nice day today. It's got up into the mid-60s, I think, right now. I'm going on like pedal assist 3, pedal assist 4, coming out the neighborhood. And then all of a sudden I just looked down at the monitor to see what pedal assist I was in and what my speed was and stuff. And I looked over and I said, hell, I got 1 bar left on my battery. I said, the battery didn't charge over, the last 2 days or whatever. So I said, what the fuck is going on with that? So it's about 2.5 miles or so up to Bigby. So I kind of cycled between using some pedal assist and using no pedal assist and just using my gears to make sure I didn't run out of battery, because on the way back there's a couple hills that I wanted to make sure I had some battery charge to go over, even though I have gears on the bike and I can pedal the bike without a battery if I wanted to. I've got 8 different gears that I can go into. It's still an 80-pound bike, so even with 8 gears, it's not like riding a regular road bike or even my mountain bike. Going through the gears is still a little more work than you really want when you weren't planning on doing any work, by the way. So I cycled in and out, and I was able to get back to the house with still had a little bit of charge in the battery, so it worked out perfectly. But so with that said, I came back, plugged the battery back in. The light on the battery didn't come on. I checked the power strip that it's plugged into. I checked plugged it into a different outlet. I plugged it into another cord, and I think the battery's dead. And I got to go back and take a look on when I bought that bike, because it might still be under warranty, to see if I can get me a new charger. I thought I had my old charger from my other bike that got stolen, but I can't locate it anywhere unless it's in here. It might be in the trailer somewhere. I might have stored it in here. Yeah, I need to look after this video, I guess. But so yeah, note to self: always make sure that your battery did charge before you take off on your e-bike. That would be a pro tip from your Uncle Brian over here. Let's see, what else we got? Well, tomorrow night, today is Thursday. You're probably watching this on Thursday. The goddamn day is, I can't see without my glasses on. Today is the 19th, I think. Is that right? Yeah, today is March 19th. It's a Thursday. Didn't do anything. Let's back up a little bit. Didn't do anything for St. Patty's Day, by the way, because, well, I'll get into this next, but because I'm fasting right now. But I did go out Saturday and went down into the square, which I haven't been to in a little while, since the kids were here, I guess back in February, mid-February. But went down into the square, and they didn't have their normal St. Patty's Day stuff going on, but Montreux did have a St. Patty's Day party starting at 2 o'clock. So I rode the bike down there, and it was a beautiful day. Stopped in at Benny Mazzetti's, got a slice of pie and in a green beer. Left there, took a look over at Accent to see if I knew anybody. I didn't know anybody over there. Walked around the corner, decided to go to Shuckin' Shack, see if there's a bartender I know over there named Derek. I was going to see if he was working. He was not. Had a beer. I was going to do some oysters. I decided not to. And then I ended up going over to Montreux and checking out the St. Patty's Day stuff. Went to the back. Oh my God, there was an Irish band playing out there, and the back was just absolutely stuffed. I mean, it was not my type of scene. Beautiful day. Perfect day to be out there, but I didn't recognize anybody that I knew out there. And it was just a little bit too noisy for my taste. I was looking more to chill. So I went back inside, found a seat at the inside bar, and actually there was a single songwriter, guitarist in there, blues guitarist, that was doing some blues by himself, and that was much more my speed for that day. So I sat down at the bar, had another drink, and actually played some trivia on the TV and listened to some blues. They had me a Guinness and a Jameson shot, to celebrate. But didn't go out on the 17th because I'm fasting, but so we'll come back to that. Tomorrow, if you get a chance, this is one of, if you know Mr. Mike Freund of the Mike Freund Band, he's been on the show. I've filmed a lot of his musical acts throughout the years, performances. He's doing, he just did one. This is his second show, and then he's got a third one coming up at Burns Alley, which he said is where he started his musical career proper, I guess. But tomorrow he's going to be at the Tin Roof, so this will be his second show. This will be his last show at the Tin Roof. I can't remember who the opening band is. He's the second opener. I think he goes on at 9. I think the Doors are at 7. This is Tin Roof down in Charleston, so just look it up. I think he goes on. I think the Doors are at 7. The opener goes on at 8. He goes on at 9 for a full hour all original music show. And then the headlining band, hold on, I'll tell you. The headlining band is Sparrow Blue. I think they're out of Canada, if I remember when I looked it up. So Sparrow Blue is going to be the headliner. So I would highly recommend, go down there if you know Mike Freund, even if you don't. Fantastic musician, great rock band. Get down there and see one of his last shows in Charleston before he heads off to Sacramento, California. I believe the tickets are only $10, so you can't beat it for 3 different bands. And the atmosphere down there at the Tin Roof is going to be energetic and electric. And do yourself a favor, go down to the Tin Roof, March 20th, tomorrow night, Friday. See the Mike Freund Band, and then hang out for Sparrow Blue if you want to. What else? So yeah, I talked about fasting. So I started planning a trip to. I've already planned a trip to Philadelphia. I've never been to Pennsylvania whatsoever. It's one of the states I still have left to knock off of my 50 state list. I've got, after I knock off Philadelphia, I'll have 10 states left, I believe, if I'm correct. So that'll be my 40th state. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan and a Flyers fan. So I figured, why the fuck not go to Philadelphia? A lot of people are telling me, you should have gone to Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's better than Philly. And I got other people telling me, no, Philly's where it's at. Philly's where it all started, right, in Pennsylvania. I mean, that's where we pretty much wrote the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence and all this other kind of stuff. So pretty historic, and that's kind of why I want to go there as well. So I decided, what the fuck, let's just do a trip and go to Philadelphia. Originally, I was looking at some cruises, and I won't get into that whole thing, but cruises just seemed like that's what I was originally going to do. Cruises, once I started diving into it, I'm like, man, seems like cruises is a couples type of situation. I was having a lot of troubles trying to figure it out as a single traveler, and even found one that's geared towards the military called the Margaritaville at Sea that started back in 2022. Real good discounts for veterans, but again, it was based on double occupancy for most of their stuff. And I was going to have to pay double for a room just because I was single. I was going to have to pay the second occupancy price. And anyway, I couldn't figure it all out. I got to do more research on it. And I said, you know what? Let's just go somewhere else. Let's keep it simple, and let's go to Philly. That's been on your list. You were going to probably try and do that for your birthday this year anyway. Let's just go ahead and do it now. We'll do a spring version instead of a fall version. So I booked a trip to Philly, and I said, you know what? I'm a little plump because I haven't been doing anything for 4 months because of my injury, and then I've just said fuck it, and I had a lot of gluttony going on with just food and beer. So I put on a little bit of pounds, and I said let's do a little fast and try and tighten up a little bit before we go up there, so we can fit into some of the clothes that you'll need for a spring fest up in Philly, which it's not looking like it's maybe a spring fest. It might still be a little chilly. We had some cold weather come through as of recent, and it might be a little cold up there. But so yeah, doing a little fast. I think right now I am currently 91 hours into a fast, so whatever that equates to in days, I don't know. I'm going out, like I said, to the Mike Freund Band tomorrow with my brother. If that holds, he still hasn't given me a 100% yet, but I'll probably go without him. So I decided, you know what, I was going to do a 15-day fast and do that all the way up until a couple of days before I leave for Philly, and then I would refeed and get up there and be good to go. What I've decided to do is I'm doing this fast that I'm doing now. I'm going to break it tomorrow. I've got some actually chicken bone broth brewing on the stove right now. I took some bones. I'm all over the place, but I'm giving you the whole scoop. I'm giving you the whole story. This is, I'm crafting a conversation with you, giving you all of it. My dad had gone. He gets fucking fried chicken like at least a couple days a week. He goes to Publix or he goes to Piggly Wiggly. Sometimes he goes to Food Line. And I think he went to Publix on this particular day. It might have been Food Line. I don't know, but he didn't have his glasses on. He was reading the bag. The bags are real similar that they put the fried chicken in and the rotisserie chicken. He thought it said 8-piece dark, fried chicken. It actually said rotisserie chicken. So he ended up getting rotisserie chicken, and he was complaining the other night that, oh my God, this isn't fried chicken. This is damn rotisserie chicken. I guess I didn't read it right. I could have sworn it said 8-piece dark, and that's a little different, saying 8-piece dark and saying rotisserie. Those are a lot of different letters and words. But so he doesn't like it at all. He's like, this is nothing. I'm gonna eat some of it right now. I'm gonna throw it in the trash. I said, don't you dare throw it in the trash. So he's been picking on it. So today he was saying he has a hard time getting it off the bone, and it's just a pain in the ass. So I decided when I came back from the coffee shop today, I said, all right, I'm gonna tear all this off of the bone, and just go ahead and get that done for him, so he didn't have to fuck with the bones anymore. And then I said, you know what? I'm gonna take all these spare bones off of this chicken and some of the meat that's left on it. I'm gonna make me a chicken bone broth. That's gonna be perfect to break my fast with. So that's what I did. I got on ChatGPT. I know a lot of people don't like AI right now. A lot of controversy going on, but I'm still using it. Because it's not going to get any better if we don't use it, and if we don't figure out, once you figure out one invention, everything else kind of follows along, and you figure out all the other pieces of how to make it work and make it most cost effective and environmentally friendly and all this stuff. So if we don't use it, we're not going to figure all that out. So I went on ChatGPT and said, look, man, I pulled my scale out and I weighed the bones and the meat, and it came out to 8.14 ounces. And I said, hey, ChatGPT, tell me how to make some chicken bone broth with this weight of chicken bones and meat pieces. So it gave me a recipe, with things to put in. So I've got it cooking on the stove right now, simmering. It's going to take a good 6 to 8 hours. And tomorrow morning I'm going to break my fast with the bone broth. And then my plan is to eat a couple cans of sardines. Really perfect for breaking a fast. Great macros as far as omega-3s and some different stuff that's in the salmon. It's really good for you. Protein, some fats. You don't blow your insulin out. Out the fuck. What's the word I'm trying to look? You don't blow your insulin out the roof, I guess, or the fuck is. What would you actually say for that? I guess you just don't blow your insulin out the roof. I don't know. You don't get a huge insulin spike, is what I'm saying. You don't want to break your fast with sugars and carbs and beer and all that kind of stuff. That just kind of wrecks everything that you just did. So I'm going to go into a bone broth, ease into that. Actually, I got some matcha that I just ordered. That'll be here early in the morning. So I'm going to change my coffee up to some ceremonial matcha that I bought. Start with that, and then I'll do a little bit of bone broth. And then kind of midday, I'm going to throw in a couple cans of sardines. That way I have some stuff on my stomach before I go out tomorrow night with my brother, because I am going to have a couple beverages. And then what I've decided is I'll do that again on Saturday. I'll do a little bit more bone broth, maybe some eggs along with some of the salmon, maybe some herring. I've got some of that in the cabinet up here as well. And then I'll probably have another couple beverages that evening. And then I'm going to restart my fast Saturday night, and I'll do another extended fast up until a day or two before I take off for Philly, which is March 31st. So that's my plan. I've already dropped 10 pounds. Ketones are 3 millimole right now, so I'm in extreme fat burning mode at the moment, and feeling really good. I can already tell I slimmed out a little bit in the stomach area. The face has trimmed out all the puffiness. Feeling good. The brain's on fire right now. That's why I decided, and I'm probably speaking maybe a little faster than I normally do, but brain is just on fire right now, hitting on all cylinders. I mean, I'm in the zone right now. That's what you would call it at this point. At 3 millimoles of ketones, all my glycogen is depleted. I'm running on nothing but fats at the moment, and the brain, is no longer maybe a minimal amount of glucose that it's using, that my body is probably producing, or it had a little bit left stored. But your body can convert some proteins and other things to glucose as well. But I'm primarily, brain is running off of ketones at this moment, the body itself. So full fat burning mode at the moment, guys, which is what I was intending. And then we'll continue that. We'll kind of do a little bit of a break, but keep it smart for the next 2 days. Dive back into it for another extended period. And then I'll kind of break the same way. I'll do another broth and sardine thing. Then when I hit Philly, Philly, I'm going to be doing a lot of walking like I did in Boston. So I'll be doing, 15 to 20 steps a day. Keeping it light as far as the food goes. Of course, I'm going to have some cheesesteak. I'm going to have some pretzels, all the stuff, pork sandwiches, all the stuff that you want to get in Philly. But I'm going to keep it light and kind of keep it to a minimum. Just try out the most popular places. Try and hit the joints that you need to hit when you go to Philly. Otherwise, I'm going to try and stick to just proteins and fats and try and stick away from the carbs as much as possible as far as eating goes. Of course, I'm going to have to hit some of the breweries and check out the brewery scene up there. So we're just going to keep it light. But we're also going to be doing a lot of activities, so that's going to keep the glycogen levels under control as well. Yeah, I'm probably going to take my matcha with me, so I'll be doing some matcha up there. And all that. And we're going to hit all the historic stuff. I've already got a couple excursions planned. I mean, the night that I get there, the day that I get there in the afternoon. I'll check into the hotel about 2. I'm going to start walking the riverfront, which is, I'm at Penn's Landing, right there in Old City in Philly. So I'm going to start, hopefully the weather cooperates with me. I'll come right up my hotel and hit Penn's Landing. I'm going to walk the Riverwalk. And we're going to meander our way up to Fishtown, and that's pretty much where the brewery district is, and that's where a lot of the live music locations are up there. So I'm going to work my way up to Fishtown. I've got a comedy show that I got off of Vet Tickets for a really good price. I think it was $8 to get into this comedy show at the, I think it was called the Punchline. Let me look it up. I got my list here. We'll just kind of go through a couple things while we're here. Boston trip, we're going to Philly trip. So yeah, I'm going to a comedy show at the Punchline there in Fishtown at 7:30 that evening. So I'm going to start meandering up. I'm hit the Riverwalk and go ahead and check out some of the piers and some of the river, the Delaware River. I'll get up to Fishtown, literally in the same building, I think. Other Half Brewing is right there. So I'm going to hit Other Half Brewing for a pregame before I go into the comedy show. Comedy show is a 2-drink minimum, so I have to have a couple drinks in there. And when I leave the Punchline after the show, my plan is to do about an 8 to 9 minute walk to one of 3 places. And it may be more than one of 3, depending on if I don't like what's going on at one of them. I have to go to another one. I might go to all 3 to find out, to get where I want to go. So after the show, I'm probably going to Druid's Keep, Standard Tap, or Craft Hall afterwards. And that's all kind of up there in the similar area. Like I said, 8-9 minute walk from the comedy Punchline there. Then the next day is my second event that I got planned. Like I said, I got 3 at the moment that are solid that I've got locked in. I'm going to a Phillies game on April 1st. The next day at 1:05 is an afternoon game. So on the way there, it's a little bit of a walk. I may walk it, I may not, depending on the weather, depending on how I feel after the night before as well. But I've got in here, to either Uber or walk. So I'll do one of the 2. But I'm going to pregame, again, at a place called Human Robot Brewery, which is about 20 minutes from the stadium. Pregame there. Then hit the game at 1:05. Enter before first pitch. After the first pitch or before first pitch, I'll go to Ashburn Alley, and what's been recommended to me is to go to Campo's in Ashburn Alley and get the heater, which is a cheesesteak. It's kind of a spicier cheesesteak. So I'm going to get the heater and, of course, a local beer. Go back up to my seats and watch the game a little bit, and then I'll probably, venture around. Of course, I'm going to have to tour the stadium and just kind of check out all the things at the stadium there. There's a couple of the things that have been recommended for me to check out to make sure you hit inside the stadium. So I'll do that, kind of take a look at all the history, of course, watch the game. Once the game ends, I'm going to leave there and go to ARS Brewing after the game. So it's kind of in a little bit more western area than Human Robot was. I can probably walk to there, and then I'll probably Uber back to the hotel from there. And then once I get back to the hotel, freshen up a little bit, maybe change clothes, put on something a little bit warmer because it's going to be evening time by then. And I'm planning on going to Yards Brewing. And it says BLS. What the hell did I mean by BLS? Oh, no, never mind. That's a different day. Sorry. So that's what I'll do that day. And then April 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, I've got free right now. So I got 5 days, or 4 days actually. 4 days free that I'm just going to kind of wing it. I got a friend of mine that lives in Delaware that may meet me over there and hang out for a day. And I'm just going to wing it. Of course, I want to do all the historical stuff. So we'll do the Liberty Bell and the Independence Hall and all the things historic. We might do a hop-on, hop-off tour. One of those double-decker buses where you pay for the full day and you just hop on and hop off where you want to hop on and hop off and explore. But most likely I'll just walk because I just want to get in the steps. I enjoy walking. It's better for you. But you also get a little bit of history and a little bit of commentary on the buses. So I may do that. I've never done one before. A lot of people recommended that, and it seems like it's pretty convenient. Get you around. You can see a lot more in a lot less time. So we'll see. And again, depending on the weather, how things are going. Of course, I got some other breweries, some other eateries, Irish pubs. Irish is real big up there, so I got some Irish stuff that I want to check out. There's a bunch of stuff around my hotel at the Penns View Hotel that I will be checking out. A lot of restaurants and bars. Good bar scene right there in Old City that I'm going to be checking out. So there'll be a lot of good local music. Actually, on the 3rd, it's a First Friday, and every First Friday in Old City they do shut down a couple streets there. 2nd through 4th Street, I think, is what I've seen off the top of my head. Again, go down there and they got an arts festival, so they're going to have some food trucks. They'll have live music. They'll have arts and all kind of stuff. So I'll definitely get involved with the locals and do all that stuff on the 3rd. So we're just kind of winging it. We'll check it out. It's supposed to be the hotel I'm staying in is supposed to have a real nice, one of the best wine restaurants, I think, in Philly. They got over 100 bottles of wine by the glass there. And I get a 25% discount just because I'm staying at the hotel. So, of course, I'll probably check that out one night, be fancy, do some wine or something. So that brings us up to the last night before I leave, and that is April 6th. So what I had planned for that is to go to the Yards Brew pre a concert that I'm going to, and then go over to the concert. And I may do more than that, depending on how the day goes. And the concert I'm going to is I'm going to see the Black Label Society at the Fillmore, the popular historic Fillmore over there in Philly. It's up there in Fishtown as well. Man, I opened this bottle of water. I haven't drank any of it. So yeah, Black Label Society. Matter of fact, Zach Wild, the lead singer of Black Label, and I think the founder of Black Label Society, he's got a side band that he has called Zach Sabbath. So he does it's a Black Sabbath tribute band basically. So they're going to actually open. I think there's another opener, and then they'll come out as Zach Sabbath, and then they'll transition into Black Label Society. So looking forward to that. That's going to be a fun time. And then of course I'll venture out of there. And I thought I had it listed on here of other places that I was going to go to after that, but it's kind of the same 3 that I had choiced, for after the comedy show. So probably those same 3 will come back into play. There's also a Chinatown there that's going to be into play sometime. I always hit a Chinatown if there's one. I've been to the one in Brooklyn. I've been to the one in San Diego, San Francisco. Las Vegas Chinatown, the Boston Chinatown. Just try them all out. I love me some Chinese food, and I love the Chinese culture and everything else. There's also a Vietnam Veterans Memorial there. The Reading Terminal Market, I heard, is super popular, so I'm going to be doing that. It's a bunch of food joints. It's a big market, bunch of stuff. You can buy produce, fish, meats. There's a bunch of eateries, from ice cream to whatever, more cheesesteaks, pretzels, What else? The Magic Garden. Look that up. It looks really cool. I've heard that's awesome. Of course, all the historic stuff. What else I got on here? The Rocky Steps. I'm going to run up the Rocky Steps. Got to do it. Right? I'm going to go to the Rocky statue and get me a picture with the Rocky statue. Grew up on Rocky. What else we got here? Betsy Ross's house, maybe. I'm not too interested. One that did intrigue me. There's the Eastern State Penitentiary up there, and you can do a tour, and there's actually an audio tour that you can do. So while you're walking through the penitentiary, it'll give you a little history of who was in prison there. Al Capone was there at one point, so it looks pretty cool. It looks kind of creepy. It's of course no longer open. Be like going to Alcatraz or whatever. You just do a little tour. So that sounded really interesting. Angelo's Pizzeria is what I've kind of deciphered from all the people I've talked to that are from Philly, that have been to Philly, YouTube videos I've watched, even asking ChatGPT. Angelo's Pizza is what I've come down to as the place to get a cheesesteak. Of course, I'm going to get one doing that at the stadium, so we'll see how the stadium cheesesteak compares to Angelo's. Also in Fishtown there's a barcade. And apparently there's a bunch of barcades around I think the original one might have been in Los Angeles or something, out west, I believe. And now there's some, various places across the United States, Philly being one of them. It's basically a bar. I looked at the draft list. I mean, they probably got 30 different beers on the draft list, mixed drinks, food, and then they've got, I want to say there was 20 to 30 different arcade games, pinball machines, arcade games, classic, stand-up arcade games, Galaga, Pac-Man, Contra, all those types of things. So I'm going to hit the barcade, man, play some video games. Why not? What else we got here before we wrap this thing up? The first Friday we talked about. That's about it. Yeah, and then I'll leave there on April 7th and come back. So it's an exciting trip. I'm looking forward to it a lot. I've actually ordered some clothes to go up there because looking at historically, that first week of April is like the cherry blossom. Springtime. You're transitioning. Cherry blossoms start blossoming. There's a Japanese festival in the middle of April that really involves the cherry blossoms and stuff. And from what I heard, it was going to be pretty nice during the day and then a little cool at night. So I ordered some new shorts and a short sleeve shirt and a button down kind of a Hawaiian style shirt. And now it's looking like it might be too damn cold for all that bullshit, but I'll make it work. So I went back and ordered a pair of pants as well, just so I got at least a pair of pants along with a pair of jeans that I got. But I'll make it work. So hopefully it's not going to be too crazy. But I picked it because initially it was looking like it was going to be perfect weather at the time, but no, I'm not too sure. So I think that gets me all caught up, guys. Neck is feeling good. I mean, as you can see, I'm moving it around. It's still stiff. It still gives me some issues here and there. I still take some Tylenol. I still take some Motrin. I still put a heating pack on there. I'm doing stretches. I'm doing range of motion. I'm starting to get into some strengthening now. Some neck retractions. I started doing some isometric holds. Trying to get the strength back on all sides of the neck. Get all the deep muscles that support the neck strengthened back up that have atrophied over the last 4 months. A lot more walking, getting on the bike, so getting back in shape, getting the cardio back up. Trying to drop a few pounds. That seems to be about it. Get out and see the Mike Freund Band tomorrow night at the Tin Roof. Do that. $10 tickets. Get them. Go say hi. Listen to some great rock and roll. And that's it, guys. That's all I got. I'm not going to hold you up any longer. We're an hour into it. I'll probably trim it down to right at an hour. We're an hour and 5, actually. But I appreciate you talking with me. I appreciate you hanging out. If you watched, please like and share the video. Tell your friends about it if you enjoyed it. And that's it. I'm going to clean this up. I'm going to edit. I'm going to smoke a little weed before I do that. And sometimes that messes me up. Sometimes that makes it better. Sometimes I overdo it. And then I start editing. I start getting in and I just can't figure out why things aren't lining up. I can't get the audio to line up. I can't splice things. Sometimes I get discombobulated and I can't. my brain shuts down. But hopefully the combinations of the ketones and the weed, which actually has made the weed hit a little bit harder since I've been in ketosis. Instead of taking 3 hits, it might take me 2 to get the same effect. So a little pro tip for you if you want to save on some weed. But yeah, I'm going to smoke a little weed, and we'll see if I can get this thing together. If not, then I'll wait for that to calm down, and I'll finish the editing, and hopefully get it out and uploaded tonight, and you might see it this evening. If not, you'll see it tomorrow. It'll give you time enough to hear about the Mike Freund Band and get over there to see him. And then probably my next video, if I don't do one, I'll upload some stuff probably from Philly, but if not, then I'll do a show when I get back and tell you all the deets about how everything was, and we'll share maybe some pictures and stuff. But all right, peace out. I love you guys. Be good to each other. Take care of each other, and we'll talk to you soon.